let's get straight into it. A huge story that continues to gain momentum, and rightfully so, of course, which is the kidnapping of the students and teachers in Orire local government area of Oyo State. Now, the president has sent representatives to assess the situation and also to provide some sort of comfort and reprieve to the families involved. As you can imagine, 2 weeks down the line, and there are reports that these terrorists communicate with some of the family members via WhatsApp. Beyond that, there are no other reports. Vanguard reports that the terrorists said that they don't want to speak to family members, that they want to speak to the government, which is a ridiculous level of brazenness. And we hope that they're able to use those phone numbers to track down the location of wherever the communication is coming from. But let's go down memory lane. If we look at the history of the Oyo National Park, it's not a new development that insecurity is festering in this region. We go as far back as 2018 to 2019 when it was reported that the area had become a forest corridor as the fight against insurgency was intensifying in Niger State and other surrounding areas. What these people found is that it was easy for them to use this forest as a corridor where they could transport weapons, conduct kidnappings, and do all other sorts of nefarious activities. We refer to it as ungoverned spaces, but those who research these issues now say that ungoverned is the incorrect term. It should be undergoverned, or places with limited statehood. Whatever we want to call them, we know that at that point, there was already an alert that this area was going to pose a huge security risk to the region as it was creating a corridor into the southwest. Now, if we fast forward to January of this year, we recall the 5 rangers who were killed in the same local government area in the same national park. What was done? If you look at the reports from that time, there were commitments to increase security presence there. There was commitments to ensure that there was more of a state and monopoly of force within this area. And not up to 6 months later, we are here talking about this tragedy. As you can see, the calamities escalate with time. These are areas that we feel like when something goes wrong, attention will be paid, and a repetition, a recurring of a similar incident or violent incident towards innocent people will not happen. But here we are now. So what are some of the commitments that have been made? Well, they've said that 1,000 forest guards will be recruited. If you recall, in May of last year, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had launched the Presidential Forest Guards Initiative. A few months later, they were trained and deployed. However, the focus was on 7 states that were said to be hotspots: Adamawa, Borno, Kebbi, Kwara, Niger State, Sokoto, and Yobe. But now we're seeing that these hotspots are moving. So now we have a hotspot in Oyo State, and 1,000 forest guards will go into it. I must commend Governor Sheyi Makinde, who has been on the ground in touch with the affected families. Even they have praised him and said he has been present. But is it enough, is the question we ask ourselves, especially when the military has confirmed that this activity is coming from JAS terrorists who have moved through the corridor from other places. We know that JAS is a breakaway faction of Boko Haram, and one of the signatures of Boko Haram is always to go for the most vulnerable, for soft targets. So we continue to wait and see and apply pressure and hope that more can be done in the efforts to ensure that these young children, the youngest being a toddler of 2 years, ranging to the ages of 8 years and so forth, can be brought home safely, as speedily as possible. This is also coming at a time where we know that our military is spread thin. However, we're trying to meet with commitments on the Niger Republic, Benin border. We sent some troops to the Benin presidential inauguration. We're stretched thin trying to meet so many commitments. And in all of this, even some retired army personnel are also reported kidnapped in Katsina. And that area where the kidnapping happened is also known as a hotspot. So why are we having these incidents in known hotspots where we would think that there would be a concentration of state force to ensure that there is not a recurrence of activity? Those are the questions. For now, we continue to wait and see what the deployment of forest guards will yield. And we continue to pray for the safety of those young children and their guardians who are in captivity.
Okay, so the president sent a delegation after 2 weeks and after we had to scream our heads out here. I mean, it speaks volumes. I mean, you can't make this up. when Nigerian elites lose somebody, does it take 2 weeks for them to go pay a condolence or to commiserate or feel like they love them? I mean, I'm sure when we say that now, a couple of people will say, oh, at least they went there after 2 weeks. And what has the rescue operation been like? I saw Trude Gideon's tape over the weekend. Very painful. I saw the story of Aminat. I also saw the story of the villagers there. In fact, you know, proud to this time that some of the vigilante in the area had gone into the bush and some of them were bombed and killed. So what has been done to be able to bring these people back? What has been done? In fact, Trude was, as it is when you go to anywhere, you try to, give little gifts and things like that. The villagers said they don't want any gifts. That all they want is their people back home. The other day when Governor Seyi Makinde was there, the husband of the principal was crying. That's the human calamity. Although we give kudos to them where they do well. The Papri incident, we hear that the DSS have been able to apprehend some people linked to the Papri incident, which is a good one. But when you look at this is very sad. National Security Advisor Gbajabi Amila was there. Yes, you say that's the president's strongman delegation. But it will not be bad for the president too to be there. The president is in Lagos here. It wasn't Gbajabi Amila or Nuhu Ribadu people voted for. They voted for their commander-in-chief. Or is it when it's campaign period that politicians can move around and see their people? So please, we want them to be there. And we'll like them to map out a strategy to be able to bring these people out this week. Already we are hearing about NUT saying they are going to strike in Oyo State. I mean, I feel sad about that. But what do you want them to do? I don't want strikes. I've never been somebody that's, okay, maybe probably strike is going to be the solution to this matter. Because if they're in school season, it's also going to hurt the people. But what do you want them to do? I hear some people want to organize protests. People are now speaking up. Can we bring these people out this week, next week? At least to make this Passover us and account for everybody. And we are also talking about Oyo. What about the people in Borno? Let's not forget those people too. When will the president send the delegation? Or why can't he go himself there? Commander-in-Chief means I will be there for you. Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces. This morning I had to read out Section 14, Section 2. And please, I'm beginning to hear a narrative I want to correct. For people that are saying that security is for everybody. No, it's not for everybody. It's for the security forces. That's why we abdicate our sovereignty to you. Read Section 14, Section 2B. Section 2A first says the sovereignty is for the people. Government derives its sovereignty from that people. That's why it's through elections. Then 2B now talks about security is the primary purpose of the government. So if you are now saying the primary purpose of government is for all of us, no. If it's for all of us, share the security votes for us, the citizens now. Maybe you had over 2 trillion is the military budget too. Share it for all of us so that we know that we are on our own.
Oh, how much are they even getting?
How much are they even getting? So we don't want a return, and that's a return to anarchy, which we've always, I don't believe citizens should carry their own arms or, the security forces, we should trust that they should be able to protect us. So this narrative on this buck passing of the security is for all of, people can volunteer information. People can, when you see something, you say something. Yes, that is good. But trying to abdicate that and say it's for all, no, it's not for all of us. It's for the security forces. That's why they are being paid and support. What we can do is to advocate for their welfare. We think they should put more into security. We think they should put more into the welfare of the military. That's why we speak up here. But as with speaking up too, like the Yoruba say, already won. Because Justice Crack spoke up the other day to be able to help the welfare of the military. See what is facing today. But it's not going to stop us from speaking up. So, please, it is the primary purpose of the government. Section 14 of Section 2. So, I don't want to hear a repeat of that narrative that is all of. No! Section 14 of Section 2B. I yield the floor.
Well, that section of the 1999 Constitution, 14.2b, says that the security and welfare of the citizen shall be the primary responsibility of government. Shall, it is an obligation. It is therefore our collective shame, our collective responsibility, and to our despair that children will be abducted in this country. In that Orire local government and Oyo East and all of those places, Yawota, Ile, and all of that, the children involved were between the ages of 3 to 14. Nursery school, primary school children, early secondary school children, which then makes that particular incident curious. And then one of their teachers was beheaded, Mr. Oyedokun. And then you keep wondering, we don't always hear that people are abducted and beheaded. So there must be something peculiar, it seems to me, about this latest development, the coordinated attacks on May 15 in Oyo State. And it was not even just in Oyo State. That same day, about the same time, in Askiria Uba, in Borno local government area, in Borno State, the same thing happened. Children being abducted. However, the criticism had always been that the government did not respond because the politicians were busy with politics. But the truth is that before now, the president had sent IGP Tunji Disu to that location long before now to go and mobilize efforts to rescue the people. But what happened over the weekend is what you may call high-level presence in the affected communities. On Saturday, Governor Seyi Makinde, who is now the presidential candidate by nomination of the APM, was the first to go there to reassure the people, to identify with them, and to meet with, just the ordinary people and to reassure them that this is not about politics. Government will do everything within its powers to bring you people back, your people back. And then, of course, we saw Professor Alamu. That's the husband of Mrs. Alamu, who has been shown in the various videos. The husband is a professor at Lautech, I think, in Ogbomoso. You saw a whole professor, an accomplished academic, kneeling down, begging Nigeria to bring back the people who have been abducted. That's the professor there. When the governor went to him to show empathy, he started weeping. This is a country, because of the security situation, because of the failure of the constitution, ridicules everybody, whether you are a professor or you are a newscaster or you are a foreigner living and working in Nigeria. This country puts all of us at risk, and that is what should be addressed. Now, the following day, the president sent a delegation led by Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, now Chief of Staff to the President. And it was a powerful delegation. We had the Inspector General of Police. We had Chief Sunday Dare, son of the soil, who is a chief from Ogbomoso land, also part of that delegation. You had the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, was also there. You have the Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, who was also there. Tegbe is the minister, newly appointed Minister of Power. You know, that delegation was there, again, to identify with the people. I see many of the papers still referring to Christopher Musa as Chief of Defense Staff. No, he's Minister of Defense. And ironically, he was on this station saying that, he will score President Tinubu 70% in terms of security. His spittle had not yet dried on the floor until we heard that, this situation is even getting worse. But it is good also that the president followed up on his initial effort by sending the police there and now sending a special delegation. As a definition of empathy, I don't think you can fault the federal government in that regard. What we can say is that it's not enough to visit or to send delegations. We must see concrete results. One omission that I saw there, I started with Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, was that the federal government delegation acted independently on Sunday. The Seyi Makinde team acted independently on Saturday. So why was there no coordination?
Politics.
I would have loved a situation where Governor Seyi Makinde went with the federal government delegation, or both of them, showed that they were, in sync, coordinating in the interest of the people, instead of sending mixed signals to the people that the state government is working on its own, the federal government is also working on its own. I don't think it's good optics. But all of them, both the governor and also the federal government, they made the right statements. But they should now follow up with results. We shouldn't be talking about this at a time when there are happier stories. The Dangote group just won the most admired global brand from Africa over the weekend, 8 times consecutively. We should not be taking stories from Book of Lamentations. We should be talking about Songs of Solomon, celebrating achievement. One Nigeria just won the chef. The Super Eagles just won the Unity Cup. These are the kind of stories we should be talking about. From Dangote to Unity Cup to Olaolu doing well with chef. But here I will sit down Monday morning, first thing, and it's lamentation. And when you read the story of Aminat, the young lady who managed to escape in this day newspaper this morning, you will see the kind of agony that families, including widows, are going through. Nobody deserves that kind of fate in a country that has a sitting government, and the signal is that the government must redouble its efforts. The DSS just collected seized arms and ammunition from some characters. Look at the sophistication, the heavy weaponry in wrong hands. And we have been talking about the proliferation of arms and ammunition in the hands of non-state actors. Who is guarding our borders? Who is making sure that this environment is safe? Because it's not just about police and the army. It's about the entire security apparatus. As for Atiku and Muhammad Ayatollah visiting each other, that's politics. We should just stay with this tragedy that has befallen the country in terms of escalation of insecurity.
Absolutely. Quote Tony Blair last week when he said that politics cannot lead when policy discussions need to be had.